If you are not panicking about these players, I envy your mental fortitude. What's up, everyone? We are back with a midweek video. Look at this stat go. Today I'm going over 5 players that I'm legitimately worried about for fantasy baseball. And yes, I know it's still ridiculously early. We're not dropping any of these guys, but I'm absolutely wetting the bed just a little bit, worrying about their outlook for the rest of this season. So if you drafted Garrett Crochet in the first 2 rounds, you are probably pretty stressed right now. And honestly, I think you should be. This was supposed to be one of the safer ace picks in fantasy baseball. And through 5 starts, that has just not been the case. It has been rough out there. Saying Crochet has been a disappointment would be an understatement. We've got 2 solid Crochet games out of 5 this year. One against the lowly Reds in the season opener, and the other against Milwaukee, where he needed 107 pitches to get through just 6 innings. The other 3, a blow up against Houston. He recorded 5 outs only against Minnesota in one of the worst starts in recent memory, and another blow up against Detroit. Not exactly what you signed up for when drafting one of the consensus top 3 pitchers heading into this year. And I think there are some things mechanically that he's changed that could be contributing to it. Crochet's arm angle has just been going down year after year since 2021. Like, is he trying to protect his shoulder, or what is going on here? And I think this year he's also having some pitch movement consequences because of it. Some pitches are just starting to bleed more over the heart of the plate due to less horizontal movement, making it easier for batters to just punish him. When before it was either painted on the outside or pummeled inside, making batters struggle to turn on it either way. Batters are being able to pull the ball in the air the most out of Crochet's career, and even in a small sample size or even over longer periods of time, pulling the ball in the air, as you know, is usually more favorable towards the hitter. Add in that his whiff percentage is way down. He's not throwing his sweeper as much. He's really just relying on his trifecta of fastballs with the cutter, 4-seamer, and sinker. There are some tangible concerns that I can understand managers panicking on him if they spend a 1st or 2nd round pick this season. So yes, I am actually panicking on Crochet more than I thought, but we also have to understand superstars can just go through lulls. He will be better than this. The weather's going to get warmer. The velo should hopefully tick back up. His skill interactive ERA is at 3.47. He's running a 368 BABIP, and he has a 55% left on base percentage, which is just insane right now, meaning 50% of the guys that get on base end up scoring. And that's just not going to last season long. That will even out. So yes, there is a whole lot of shoulds here, which will be just meaningless stats if Crochet doesn't go out onto the mound and actually execute. But he's already went under a season killer for his peripheral stats. He's never going to be able to recover fully by the end of this year. I'm worried, but I'm absolutely not going to sell Crochet on 70 cents on the dollar. I think if you're a Crochet owner, all you can do is just hang on tight and hope there are better days ahead and that he can somewhat get his season back on track moving forward. So this one might be the biggest panic meter of the entire video, because Duran is just straight up getting benched now against righties, and that is terrifying. Like, are we trying to do a Noelve Marte 2.0 situation here, or what's going on, Boston? Duran has now sat 3 of the last 4 days, and it seems like Boston is pushing him into some sort of platoon role right now, which is just obviously not good for his fantasy value. We already saw a decline in production last year, and it's continued into 2026 this year. His chase, whiff percentage, and strikeout rates continue to climb, while his hard hit percentage, his exit velocity, and his pull air percentage decrease. That is basically the exact opposite profile you want from a fantasy hitter. I was also just trying to look under the hood for something positive right now with Duran, and was just struggling to do so. I hate to dump all these stats on you. Sometimes I can get annoyed when other people do this, just overload you with these advanced analytics. But his line drive percentage is down, his ground ball percentage is up, all his contact metrics are also down, making less contact across the board while swinging more often at those pitches. Again, just not an ideal combo any way you look at it. So to not spend too much time on this, yes, I am full panicking on Duran. He's not like a notorious slow starter like Julio up in Seattle. April is actually one of his better months of his career if we look at it. Maybe his saving grace as he gets traded. I know Boston's just been teasing us with that for years now, but it's not ideal having your 4th or 5th round pick in most cases sitting 3 of the last 4 days any way you slice it. It's not acceptable, and I would be very scared if I was a Jaren Duran owner right now. Now, this one is going to be a little different for a couple of reasons, but just going into this season, I never thought Cal Raleigh would ever reach the heights of last year. I'm always a firm believer of fading players in drafts coming off career years, and especially historic ones like Cal had the season prior. I just feel like the ADP tends to get too inflated. I feel like as a drafter, you're just so set up for disappointment because they are called career years for a reason. They tend to only happen once per player, but as a fantasy manager, you sort of expect it, or at least something very similar heading into the year. And when it doesn't, you have the pain of using most likely a very high draft pick, a second rounder in the big dumpers case, to constantly remind you of that fact. Now, do I still think Raleigh is going to be one of the top catchers by season's end? Yes, I do, but I don't think he's going to live up to his draft day cost. Cal was just going to go through some regression. He's whiffing and chasing like crazy. He's striking out too much and just not making enough contact across the board right now. And of course, as I've prepped for this video the last couple of days, I know he just hit a home run. I was watching on the screen a second ago. So again, there is going to be better days ahead for Raleigh, but I think we just need to stop holding out that he's going to get close to hitting 50 plus bombs again this year. And I also think Cal Raleigh also has to stop holding out hope that he's going to hit 50 bombs again this year. And we'll both be better off going forward. The big dumper is still going to be good, but I get paying a second round price. Good isn't going to be good enough. So I get and understand why managers are panicking about his slow start. So this next one definitely hurts because I was in on drafting Reagan's preseason with an ADP in the 5th round because the upside and potential is just so enormous for fantasy when he can stay healthy and when he is on top of his game. But we've had some pretty piss poor starts to start his 2026 season. 3 massive blow up games, one of which became the first pitcher since James Paxton, shout out Canadian boy, to walk 8 batters in a game. I think most little leaguers walk less, and then 2 solid 6-inning outings, if you can call one of them solid, because he only had 1 strikeout. Like, that isn't the reason you drafted Reagans. You chased him for that legit strikeout upside. His StatCast page is also as blue as my buddy Mark's balls. Everything is down, including velo. He's getting barreled more at 17%. Like, if a hitter was doing that, everyone would just be freaking out. He's hit harder. His expected stats are actually worse than his actuals. His expected ERA higher, and his Sierra is an ugly 5.48 as well. It's not like he's getting singled out or anything, running a actually low BABIP. Reagans is just getting bent over by the long ball with a career worst 2.57 home runs per 9 innings so far this year, and he just doesn't look right to me. And I don't know why. Reagans was already a risky pick due to his health concerns about him being able to stay healthy with his elbow and shoulder, and I wouldn't be surprised if we actually do see an IL trip here soon. I can't predict the future, obviously, but it does suck what we're seeing from Reagans this year because he is one of the better pitchers in the game when healthy, but if he continues to struggle in potentially limited innings this year, that will be no help for fantasy managers whatsoever who took the plunge on him in the 4th or 5th round in drafts in March. This is just extra added risk for an already risky pitcher heading into the year. Okay, and for the last guy up here, let's go Pete Crow Armstrong from the Chicago Cubbies. Now, PCA is a guy that I am legit just smashing that panic button pretty dang hard. In 2025, PCA obviously got off to a buzzing hot start, as most of you guys remember, looking like an early MVP candidate and fantasy league winner, but then everything sort of just flew off the tracks in the final 2 months of the season, where he only hit 4 home runs, 6 swipes, and had a downright ugly 533 OPS in his last 51 regular season games. But thanks to his incredible start, he still finished as a 30-30 player, which likely pushed his ADP up to around a 3rd round pick for fantasy, even with the major red flags in his profile heading into this year. Now, the chances of repeating a 30-30 season seem to fade more and more each day as his plate discipline, OBP issues, and his aggressive swing and miss profile are continually getting exposed by Major League pitching. PCA is just chasing more, he's striking out more, he's barreling less baseballs than last year. And one of the main things that did save his power profile last year was his pull air percentage was just a ridiculous 30.2, which is insane, but it's now sitting at 21.7, which is still great, by the way. But it isn't covering up all those holes in his swing profile like it did last year. I think pitchers are starting to use his aggressive approach against him as he swung at the first pitch over half the time at 52.8% last year. Pitchers are just going to simply stop challenging him and let him continue to chase and get himself out. The bottom line is PCA is always going to be an extremely volatile fantasy asset. There will be hot stretches where he can look like a superstar and just brutal cold streaks where he actively hurts your team. And I think there's going to be more of the latter for 2026. Dealing with that from a third round player is an absolute headache, who's now batting at the bottom of the order, decreasing his at-bats, his plate appearances with an already weak OBP, limiting his opportunity to find stolen bases. Panic, panic, panic. I passed on drafting PCA in all my drafts, so it's looking good for me right now. If you're a PCA owner, how worried are you of his rest of season outlook for 2026? Shoot me a comment down below. Let me hear how sweaty you are. All right, but I think that's it for this midweek surprise video here about 5 players that I'm genuinely panicking on a little bit for fantasy baseball. Do you agree with me? Who else is the biggest player that you're panicking on right now? Put it in the comments down below. Again, I'll try to reply to every single one, every video. I'll be getting another waiver wire video out at the end of this week or sometime early into the weekend, so stay tuned for that. If you're not subbed, hit that sub button, smash the thumbs up, smash the dislike, hype it, like it. You know how it is. I hope you guys have a good rest of your week, day, night, wherever you are, and I'll see you guys in probably like a couple of days.